Grand Rising, Grand Rising. This is the Straight Talk Morning Show on the Straight Talk Network. My name is Andre Hill, your host, and we have our co-host and engineer, co-host from Detroit, our chairman, Terrence Lake. How you doing this morning, sir?
Grand Rising, everyone. I'm doing fine. Beautiful day here. Got the Montreux Detroit Jazz Festival this weekend. I was down there last night downtown enjoying some of the musical sounds and plan on going back today and tomorrow. But everything's going well.
So I
Thank you.
understand you trying to get the furnace working right because down here in South Florida, where I am, I'm down in West Palm Beach area. It is stinking hot.
It's thinking hard. Well, we're trying to prepare for the winter. We check it, like after the winter season, and it didn't function proper. So I got a relative that does that type of work. He's looking into the situation. I think he's found the problem.
Okay, so we got our engineer and our Juris Doctor with our United Aboriginal American Republic. He's the man in the engineering booth, and he's also the legal advisor for our nation. So if you got property you want to get protected from the invaders, we're working on programs. If you have property you're trying to reclaim, we're working on programs and a movement to get that to help assist you with that anywhere in the country. Andre Hill Jr., how you doing this morning, man?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Peace and love, everybody.
Uh,
Thank
we have a series of videos. I'm getting real excited about this awakening. And let me explain how the awakening works. It's a transmission. It's in the atmosphere. And a lot of people are picking up on it. They don't understand how it's happening, just like they don't understand how radio function. You turn to a dial and you can pick up different music. It's the same concept, but in the spiritual realm, it's telepathic messages telling people, your ancestors, people that have passed on, telling you, look, this is coming. Pay attention. So we're going to play these series because it's an expression of our people, this feeling, this madness that's going on here in America. Now, mind you, this program is maybe a million years old, and it's not unique to just Earth. This program is applied to civilizations all over the universe. It's a test. It's to prepare you. It's to motivate you in understanding why and how you have to respect the basic laws of the universe. And they're just three simple laws. Well, just love your fellow humans unconditionally, treat people the way you want to be treated, and get that thing out of your head that you are better or lesser than the next man standing next to you, because everything that the universe create has a purpose. And so if you can just embrace those three items and stop tripping about what they got, what the Joneses got, what I don't have, what school my children go to, what sorority, a fraternity, it's all nonsense. It's a program designed to test you.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're going to start out with a dear friend of mine, Sister Bello from Haiti, and we're going to play a series of videos and expand on them. Hey man, go ahead and light that video up when you're ready.
Coming from Europe, arriving on the island of Haiti. That's the name of the entire island. That's what the Arawak people called it. And this for thousands of years before the criminals arrived from Europe. And when they arrived, they find the people there. It is estimated there were between 2 and 3.5 million Arawaks on the island in 1492. 11 years later, it was estimated less than 100,000 people were living on this island. A little before this estimate, as they noticed that the people were just dropping off like flies, the Europeans went to Jamaica, collected a portion of the population there, brought them to Haiti to dig for gold for them. And that population disappeared too. They went to Puerto Rico and brought boatloads of Arawak and Tainos and Caribs. And that population disappeared too in Haiti. We are told this whole process is supposed to be a civilizing process. We are told the Arawaks were savages. We are told, in some cases they even say they were, what's the word they like to say when you eat people? No, cannibals. Cannibals. They were cannibals. But you know, these Arawaks were living there for thousands of years and multiplying. 3.5 million people eliminated in less than 11 years. A few Europeans came. The Europeans were never more than a few thousand on the island. If we had 3.5 million cannibals on an island, and a few thousand Europeans came, and after 11 years, the cannibals were all dead, and the civilizers were still there. Is there something wrong with this information? Something very wrong. Very, very wrong there.
Hey, Chairman, what do you
Yes.
think about that?
The message that I'm getting is that the Europeans were the cannibals.
Yeah, they were.
If the natives are disappearing, how do you disappear?
That's sick, man.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, that's sick.
you've got
Hey,
all kind of people.
hey, Junior, what's your generation? How do you look at this?
You know, prior to colonialism, we had some interesting practices, and without trying to go too deep into a history lesson, we were here, and we were inviting and or shipping in Siberians and Mongolians, and based on the depictions that I've seen in some of the most lesser known history books that were written by different European nations like the Dutch, the Italians, and some of the Spaniards. Some of those ancient books, when they came over here, they got depictions of what they saw here. And there was some cannibalism going on, but it wasn't necessarily us. It was some of the people that we were importing. And yeah, to say the least, it was interesting. So, but saying that to say this, we do know Europe. We do know Europeans had a practice of cannibalism too, similar to those Siberians and Mongolians that we were bringing over here. In other words, less melanated people. I don't know exactly what where their sense of cannibalism came from. I mean, we kind of understand why, especially with Europeans. They had limited resources up there, especially agricultural resources. So, and they were definitely eating each other. But some of the ones we were bringing in from across the Pacific, some of them were cannibals too. This is why the movie Apocalypto shows a lot of that, right? But Chairman said something interesting. When I watched that video of Elder Bello, I ain't put together that, you know what, it's probably Europeans that came over here to the island and started eating people. I wouldn't put that past them at all, at all, and that probably helped diminish, yeah, the population there. So I'm not shocked. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised about it.
Well, there are hints that certain restaurant chains are using humans now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like it's a ritual of developing a taste for eating each other,
Yeah.
And we're unbeknownst to us, we might, they may be inserting um, human in the food processing. So that's what this show is about, the paradigm shift. And we're going to provide some evidence in terms of why this paradigm shift is so necessary. Hey, while you queue up that next video, man, I'm going to continue to expand on it. We got to stop sitting back, melanated people, stop sitting back, being comfortable with where you are, because it's only a pacifier, just to hold you while they take out other layers of your culture. And soon enough, that it's going to come around to your turn. Just like the so-called Jews in Germany, they marched them off in different layers to the gas chambers and what have you. But go ahead, play it.
Body, the ones who are the most empathetic, the ones who built civilization, we allow them to tell us what to do while they destroy the planet right in front of our face and delete us every second they get. You don't find that suspicious?
So,
So you telling
I'm gonna run it from
go
the
ahead,
top.
play it.
me that the world is being ran by a group of beings who are allergic to the planet, they are allergic to the sun, they are the youngest avatars to be on this planet, they are the most destructive species this planet has ever seen, yet we allow them to be in charge of us, the originals on this planet, the one who has ancient codes in their DNA, the one whom the sun loves, the one who has condensed sunlight running through their body, the ones who are the most empathetic, the ones who built civilization. We allow them to tell us what to do while they destroy the planet right in front of our face and delete us every second they get. You don't find that suspicious?
So, so once again, the justification and the evidence is overwhelming. And what I want to say to my generation, again, you have children and you have now grandchildren who are almost grown, and some of us have great grandchildren. And we've said this over and over again. They ain't feeling this system because they know it's something wrong with it, and they don't want to go to work. They don't want to maintain these driver's license. They don't want to follow these rules because they know it's a useless, worthless system. And so we are coming up with a way of averting this sort of catastrophe. Chairman, we talked about this last week about the grandchildren, the great grandchildren. And you noted that you noticed that they ain't assimilating to the system very well.
No, they're not. They really aren't. They're looking for alternate ways, to make a living, you know, and hopefully they don't resort to the crime world. But, when a person is desperate, they'll try any means necessary to survive, you know. Now, I hate to say it that way, but, look at it. It's evidence, you know.
So, hey, Junior, you can relate, and this is almost like a repeat discussion that we had last week, but it's like, how many times we have to say it over and over again because our people are not responding. People from my generation, they still, well, I got mine, they better get theirs. And, they still going to church, praying. And then maybe this is a problem because, I was acclimated to Christianity and the Caucasian Jesus. And it took me a while, even now today, once again, I'll say, oh, Jesus, that kind of thing. But when I came to a realization that that was part of the program, I woke up and said, "Oh, I got to fix this." But we still have people in my generation, Jesus saved me. I even saw him in the image, the Caucasian Jesus. And that's why you have to understand that these televisions send out subliminal messages and planting these images in your head and your subconscious. And then they're, even evil, good beings and negative beings will communicate through what they think you understand. But that's not waiting on a blind, blue-eyed man anybody, even a melanated man to come save you, for without merit. You've learned that prayer without works is dead.
Yes.
You got to put forth some work. We have to recognize these people. This program is designed to destroy us if we don't implement those three systems you know. So moving right along. Hey man, we got another of this Caucasian woman, and this is a very brief video. Can you cue that one up?
Kill us.
No, we can't do that.
Yeah. Kill us.
So what's the message to the black people?
Fuck, kill us. Kill us.
No, we can't do that.
Yeah. Kill us.
So what's the message to the black people?
Fuck.
So this woman may appear to be demented, but when you recognize or when you come to a conclusion that your only purpose is destruction, deception, murder, raping, manipulating, it has to initiate a suicidal gene in your head that you are worthless. Your purpose is worthless. And I'm not saying that Caucasian people, all of them are worthless. What I'm saying is that those bodies they're in were designed and created to test us. And so they lost their privilege and they need to regain their privilege. And when we talk about, how we're going to be with our culture, reestablishing our culture and our Aboriginal land within our culture, we have a plan, to help Caucasian people, help people with that are disoriented in their sexual identity. We have systems to let them go to the side and work those imperfections out or those spiritual challenges out. So we don't want, like she said, kill us. No, we don't want to kill you, because then that karmatic debt comes on you when you kill somebody. Nobody has the authority to kill anybody. Nobody. Hey, Chairman, what do you think, that woman was demented, or she was reaching out for?
Well, probably a little bit of both, because she knows that there are a lot of horrible things. You can't condemn a whole society for the wrong that a few do. It's like, well, some whites have a bad relationship with a black person and they want to condemn all the blacks. You can't do that. God is infinity. God is everywhere. God is in everything, and we're all a part of God. But what we got to recognize that we're programmed, and you can't function unless you're programmed. Either your parents are going to program you, your schools are going to program you, the television is going to program you. You get programmed from so many different directions. But the ideal is when you reach a stage in life where you can program yourself, you got to be righteous. You got to do the right things, because, like you say, karma will bite you. And that's a law of nature. It's like gravity, When you get in it, you're going to fall. So the thing is, we've got to come together. We know that there's bad in all races, in all groups, but our objective is to bring us together. And the majority of us are ruled because the majority of us have a righteous heart. And we could police this small minority that's freaking out, losing their mind, doing things they shouldn't be doing. we could stop that because we are the majority, but we got to come together. It's necessary. This is a beautiful place. It's just so much beauty, especially in this younger generation. And they said it when we were young, that we were beautiful. But we have to be programmed the right way. That's the most important thing, the programming. That's what's wrong. If you get the wrong program and you're from the wrong family and they're raising hell, you're going to raise hell too because you've been programmed.
Hey, hey, absolutely, Chairman. Hey, Junior, was this woman demented or was she recognized that, her whole purpose was worthless? What's your take on that?
Um, I'm like Chairman, maybe a little bit of both, but let me give my perspective on it. I think what she's realized, especially because she's a little older, she may be around y'all's age. And one thing I've learned from watching y'all is when y'all get to that age, y'all got a lot less to lose about what you say. It's like y'all just kind of begin to shoot very straight all the time because y'all like, listen, I ain't got a whole lot of time left. I ain't got time to bullshit y'all. I'm gonna tell it to you exactly how I feel it on my chest. And I mean, I got to take that, ladies. Um, I got to take her word for it. I mean, I'm going to believe her at face value. That's my point. But this is what I think she's come to realize. She's an older Caucasian. Probably most of her constituents or colleagues are older Caucasian as well. And she's probably watched all of her constituents maintain their complicity in parasitism, what we now call on white supremacy. I don't use that term because ain't no such thing. But colonialism and which is really parasitism. In other words, trying to infiltrate an ecosystem and siphon from it without giving anything back to it. That's parasitism. That's what a parasite does to your body when it gets attached to it. All right. So, and I think she's realizing, as much as, I mean, it's like this, she's the one who is around her people most of the time when nobody else around that does not look like them. You see what I'm saying? In other words, she's one that goes home with her own people every day. She knows what's going on inside their house, inside their minds, and inside their hearts. And I believe she's figured out, like, I don't think many of us are capable of becoming uncomplicit with this parasitism. I think she's seen enough of them being tested to the point to where, they had an option, they had a choice to choose what was righteous or to choose what was selfish, in the sense of self-preservation. Because let's just be objective. Caucasian people have, in general around the world, have a different situation when it comes to survivalism and self-preservation, simply because they do have recessive genes, and if they don't set up parameters, they'll be genetically eliminated in 20 to 30 years. They know this. They wake up every day and operate with this, right? So she knows that, okay, so that issue is what's going to curate and perpetuate colonialism, parasitism. So I don't think she believes in her own people no more to say, you know what, this is, when they see let's say the leaders of particular regimes continuing to perpetuate hate, destruction, infiltration, or whatever have you, she doesn't think the majority of her people will sit back and say, you know what, that's wrong. She thinks what they're going to say is, well, it is wrong, but is it enough means to an end to ensure my survival? And I mean, look, I believe you get to that point at that age, and you say, listen, I don't think we're capable in mass. Maybe maybe a few of us here and there, but when you look at the majority of European nations, they all got colonies in China. They got colonies in Africa. They got colonies in South America. They got colonies in Australia. They got colonies in or at least if they can't colonize the Middle East, they at least go into war with them. They got colonies. America is a European colony as it stands right now. Canada is a European colony as it stands right now. They speak in French. That wasn't the original language there. All right. So, I think, her as a elder Caucasian woman would probably, she's looking at it like, if they gonna kill me, they gonna kill me. But I'm gonna say this. You got nothing to lose. So, I mean, like Chairman say though, I optimistically, I believe there are, some Caucasians out there, who, if given a choice, they may choose to do what is good for the entire collective of the human population body and the planet body. But on the same token, the parasitic regime that is overruling them gives them a lot of incentive to be like, no, you better preserve yourself, because I need you to be in that state of being, because it helps further and maintain the parasitic agenda that we put out here. We know you have an insecurity and genetic annihilation, and I'm a enhance that for you if you don't keep following suit with this parasitic regime. It's a hard choice for them. It's a hard choice for them to be a toddler or adolescent in the scope of original. How long have they been here? How long have they been able to evolve and adapt to this world and everybody else on this planet? The originals, we're the adults here. They're the children, right? So it's that's a lot of pressure to put on a adolescent or younger civilization or society.
Absolutely.
That's like throwing a child out into the woods and tell them to get it how you live and survive. So we can imagine what type of mentality that would produce from that scenario. Some people may they may get to the point to where they or just imagine in this analogy, you throwing a young species out into the wilderness where it doesn't have seemingly doesn't have a natural place in the ecosystem, and it's not getting along with nature. Nature ain't getting along with it. So every day it wakes up, it's like everything around me is trying to kill me. Right? That's where they at with it as a society. And now they can see on media, social media, that the original people all around the world have a tiff about what's been going on for the last, let's say in various regions and cumulatively for the last 1,000 years. And they looking at it like, okay, so not only is nature not liking me, but the original humans also have a problem with me now.
We're tired of them.
Right.
But now, wait a minute now. Now, me and the chairman, we are doing what we need to do because we're pretty close to transitioning, and we're earning our right to a beautiful melanated body if we have to come back to the physical plane. But let me ask you, I'm gonna put you in a position, Junior, as a grand counselor, because you're going to take our place as we transition on. And as a grand counselor, your job is to advise not only your generation, but the generations behind us. And one other thing I want to caution people in me and the chairman's generation, just because you didn't come up with this, we didn't either. We didn't get them download until later on in life. And so you don't need to sit back saying, well, I didn't come up with this idea, so I ain't getting involved. I want to see if they're going to fail first. Don't do that, because you're losing your privilege to the next 10 beautiful lives by sitting back. We're not in this for ego. We're not in this for fancy cars and all that. We knew what we had could have done. The chairman is right there in Motown. He's a singer. He could have got into that. He did. So, but to you, Junior, as a grand counselor, I watched a video this morning about this young black man, and he said it's his goal to recruit 10,000 black men, and every time somebody unalive, I'm gonna use that term, unalive one of their children, what have you, they're gonna retaliate. They're gonna go and destroy, kill, and murder and do the same thing to their children. What, I know this is a big one, but what is your advice? Understanding the laws of the universe and understanding the laws of karma. What do you advise as your generation? Do you guys need to start arming up to retaliate, or do you need to work on another metaphysical level?
Well, yeah. First, we do want to work from the highest universal principles, just keeping that always in mind, right? We of course we want to do that. Now the situation about retaliating, let's find the root of the issue there. Let's find the root of the issue. And this may, I don't know, I may be one of the first people that's going to explain it like this. When it comes to our children getting into situations with either somebody's jurisdiction's law enforcement and or vigilantes who just don't like us and don't like us to be in proximity to them, so then they attack our children. All right, that's the scenario, right? We've got our children within jurisdictions that we do not control. First and foremost, let's just identify that. We have our children in jurisdictions we do not control, or in jurisdictions where we at least don't control or have any stake in the process and the structure of policy enforcers or police officers, right? So the first remedy to that is we've got to build our own jurisdictions. That's what we're doing with United Aboriginal American Republic, right? Because you can self-govern. You can self-govern everything from the top down, which include your quote unquote security. All right. But when we say jurisdiction over what? We're going to self-govern ourselves and what? A geographical location. It's imperative that we begin to build our own communities again. It's imperative because we've got communities now that we don't have any ownership and control in, political control in. And so, security that another jurisdiction controls has the authority and ability to come into a neighborhood, because it ain't necessarily a community that we have. Because you don't see us getting shot, you don't see us getting unalived in our healthy communities. You don't see that. It's usually when one of our children are stray out in the street among a community that we have no kind of control in. That's usually where that happens. That's usually where it happens. I don't know exactly yet what it's going to take to convince the majority of our people that at this time in this country, behind enemy lines, we do not have the luxury of just traveling and going anywhere willy-nilly. We don't have it. We haven't had it for about 250 years. Since we've been invaded, we have not had that freedom. We have not had that luxury, I say. Now, we got the freedom. Let me dial that back. We do have the freedom to move anywhere we want to, but we don't have the luxury to travel anywhere among beasts and parasites out there without proper security. Now, let's say, y'all raised us. I think I'm probably part of that generation. We was the last group of kids that used to, we go outside. We tell y'all we was going outside, be like 5 or 6 of us on some bikes, and we'd be back later. And so y'all grew up in a situation where you could do that because y'all can get whooped by y'all neighbors. Y'all didn't even enforce that on my generation. We didn't even get that. We could, now our neighbors could say something to us, check us, but they couldn't put no hands on us. Y'all would be in an uproar about that. But that was my generation was the last of the Mohicans who experienced some level of community to where y'all didn't worry about if it was 5 or 6 of us on some bikes 2 miles down the road, because y'all knew somebody 2 miles down the road who knew that, okay, that's such and such kids. All right. And we will probably be looked after in the event of something drastic happening. That is completely gone now. Completely. These later generations, listen, I have friends who have children. I wouldn't trust them to go nowhere, to be quite honest with you. You know, me being 40 years old and being in this, so I'm not a parent yet, but being, you know, I don't have my own biological children, but I've got children all around me that I got to look after. I don't trust them going nowhere. Not like we did, because I know we don't own these jurisdictions. I know we don't, right? So jurisdictions, institutions, and infrastructure. If we don't have that in place, we are going to continuously be behind enemy lines. That's the truth. And Caucasian people, it's like, you know, they you know, in their own class system. I mean, to some extent they suffer the same thing, not to the extent that we are, but you know, it's not the middle income, lower income, broke Caucasians. They not the threat. They now, but they are complicit. A lot of them are complicit, but they're not the active threat most of the time, right? It's usually coming from the top down, or it's a ripple effect that comes from the top down that begins to harm our children in particular. So until we begin to rebuild all of our communities and install our culture and our own political structures, and in particular our own infrastructure, you know, we may have situations where there are casualties, because you know the truth is parasitism has separated everybody on this land, and every, you know, and it's still a matter of survival. You know, our group against y'all's group. That's what a majority of people, you know, people are. So going back to answer your question, so arming up to retaliate. I mean, I understand. I mean, I imagine anybody who's a parent who have their child attacked and or unalived by another group of people. Of course, you'll want to retaliate. Of course, you would, right? Of course, you would. But it doesn't solve the issue. It doesn't solve the issue. That's because that's not what's going to build the security, especially when you go to attacking uncouth beast, because they just gonna retaliate back. That's what's gonna happen, and it will begin to start, you know, if you will, you know, some level of race war. And again, that's not necessarily the concern. The concern is, do you want a actual war where your children are potential casualties? No, nobody wants that. I can answer that. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. So it'll be a lot better. It's a lot more efficient now and in the long run. Circle of wagons, build your own jurisdiction, build your own communities again, and install your own. And there you can install 10,000 black men. I bet you won't nobody roll up on that community. Nobody will.
What do you think, Chairman? Is he in a good position to be on a council of elders for his generation?
Well, yes, because he's speaking of self-preservation. You know, that's the law of nature, no matter where you're at. You know, you look at, like you said earlier, about from the top down, a lot of these orders come from the heads, and they are
Right.
mentally deranged, because look what they're doing. They're shooting at UFOs, but yet they won't tell you that UFOs are real. What the hell are you shooting at? You know, and they're downing them. They're not even letting you know how many UFOs they've shot down, you know. So that's why you see more and more evidence of extraterrestrials' presence, because they know there's a madness that's going on. You know, why are these beings shooting at us and we come in peace? You
Yeah.
know, that's
Yeah.
got to stop. That's madness, total madness. And we got to wake up to the point where, you know, with the National Guards going into these cities that ain't doing nothing wrong. Like, okay, what they call it, anarchy. Something's got to happen. You can't go along with some nut that's trying to cause you to destroy, you know, America's democracy. like we the people, we're the ones that's really in control. We get people to represent us, but they let a few at the top that's got the power to kill you, threaten you, and get you to do what they want you to do. And that's not going to work. It hasn't, and it's not going to, and it's got to stop. I'll land that
Well,
plane.
well, Chairman, this next video that we're going to queue up, I think this young melanated woman is amazing, what she was saying. And this video is for you. And as we segue into our protection, because I think our people, dealing with the fear factor. But check out what she's saying, Chairman.
The conspiracies. And I'm so proud of y'all because nobody's falling for the shit. Now, what if I told you that something was coming, but what's coming is already here? What if I told you that the aliens are you? Let that sit for a minute. And make sure you watch the whole video before you comment some dumb shit, because I like to argue. I'm going to break it down for you in simpler terms. What is an alien? We've been taught that it means foreign body from outer space with some big ass head and some big ass eyes. Terrestrial means earthbound, made of earth, born here, locked to this planet. Extraterrestrial means beyond this earth, not native to this frequency or density. And if you really look at human history, spiritually, in our ancient texts, you'll realize we never started here. We fell here. I'll be so slow. I remember at one point everybody was talking about the fallen gods, the fallen gods. Before I even knew anything about all of this knowledge and information, that sounds like us. And I realized we can't get nowhere because we don't want to take accountability where we went wrong in history. We're not innocent, people. We were higher beings operating from a different vibration, and we descended to this low, heavy reality. Think of it like water freezing into ice. In higher realms, we were liquid light, flowing, formless, free. Here, we froze. We became dense, stuck. Light, codes, and energy is still within us, but at the same time, we're dead. This energy can't flow outside of my body. That's why I'm saying that. Not to scare you. You breathing, ain't it? In old text, they call this place the realm of separation. Imagine you're a part of a giant sun, one infinite light, and a spark of you gets trapped in a shadowy world. You can't see where you came from, but you still feel it. That's why so many people feel empty even when they have money, love, or success. You're homesick to a place that you do not remember. This shit is not real. This is all a fucking illusion. Back then, before the fall, we could travel without ships, speak without words. Y'all know I reference that all the time. Manifest without effort. Manifestation probably wasn't even a thing. Just think it. Project your thoughts or whatever the fuck it is you want and it's yours. And I know that's true because I've been put in a space lately of putting my tools down and embodying the power within myself. But as we drop vibration, we forgot our first eye. Our spiritual insight closed. We became bound to physical senses. Sight, sound, touch, taste, smell. The physical became sharp and the spiritual became invisible. A lot of us don't feel like we're from here. A lot of us don't feel at home here. While the system, work, bills, all this productivity feels off. It's because you're a chaos being living in a control grid. All this stress. We done all heard about the aliens that's supposed to be coming in November. Supposed to be. You done seen the headlines, the little TikToks, the conspiracies. And I'm so proud of y'all because nobody's falling for the shit. Now, what if I told you that something was coming, but what's coming is already here? What if I told you that the aliens are you? Let that sit for a minute.
All right. All right. Hey, Chairman, the genius. What do you think about this woman?
Yeah, she's aware, she's definitely on a universal level for sure. I mean, when you think about it, the Nomos who came to West Africa and dealt with the Dogon people, they told them that's where the black society was from, the star system Sirius, so therefore that's where we originated from, and we were brought to planet Earth, amongst other societies to learn about our nature, our humanity, and hopefully to live in harmony with each other. It's like the program last week when it said, telling the space bears, this Voyager 2, turn around, go back, because you can't go any further. You're a warmonger. That's not our nature. You know, that's not our nature. We've got to get it together and create this heaven on earth. That's our mission. We got to do it. And we've got everything to do it with. This could be done within a couple years. Easy, very easy. But we got to come together. And that's why the AARP, not A,
Mhm.
oh boy. Well,
So
our organization is going to be the cornerstone to this situation that's really getting ready to come on. It's necessary, but we got to come together. Strength is in numbers. If we don't come together, we will be annihilated. The way things are going.
absolutely. So hey, Junior, I know you can use at least 15 beautiful melanated conscious women like her. The war be over in 2 weeks, wouldn't it?
Well, I mean, hey, listen, I like your optimism. I already know about 15 to 20 women like that.
What?
Also, women I communicate with are like that. Yeah. It's all right. So from our observation, that's what, and part of this is my theory. Hold on, I'm reading the comments. Hey, I'm gonna address y'all in the comments in a few. Peace, brother. I'm sorry, Sister Brenda Allen, Angel Brown, Beverly Hankins. Peace, peace. Appreciate y'all tuning in. But yeah, I already know sisters like that, and we have a lot of conversation regarding, what we're seeing on this planet and what the potential remedy is. And we're at this point with it, we observing and say, okay, so, we've got pockets of conscious and aware souls. And some of them show up in various bodies. Some of them ain't even black, right? But what we're observing is the majority of people are tending to like or just hold steady on to these, what I like to call low vibrational experiences, because that's what we that when that young sister said, we incarnated, in other words, we downgraded into this lower vibration. And I think she used a pretty good analogy. She said, think free flowing light water that has downloaded into us a frequency of freezing. Pretty good analogy. But there are a lot of souls that showed up for this experience to see what it was going to be like, let's say in the copper Pisces age, right? In a low vibrational age, to see what kind of experiences will be produced on this level of vibration. And don't necessarily have to worry, really, when you really think of it from the top down. And let's say you've got any cosmological training the way I do, you can see the cycles, when it's about to end. And you begin to realize, like, oh, I touched down at this particular time during this frequency to make sure that it's just, a planet like this just doesn't destroy itself, especially given the circumstances in this low vibration at this time, right? But when you look at a complete cosmic wheel, in other words, what we call time or moments in particular vibrations, the majority of the cosmic wheel is higher vibrations. There's only a small section of it that's lower vibration, a very small section. In other words, about 20%, probably less, is that when humanity, in the sense of souls incarnating into melanated bodies and then on down to less melanated bodies, interacting with one another, the majority of the times are peaceful times, high vibratory times. We just so happen to be in a low vibration, and let's say a cosmic winter time, which is necessary though. is necessary, or at least desired by us. We have to just remember, we are a part of the consciousness that created this entire universe, and then especially this solar system in particular. We ain't set this up on accident, right? I mean,
Right.
we talking about everything we discussed up to this point is like, yeah, that these are the circumstances right now. These are the experiences that we're choosing to deal with right now. And it's almost like, so right now, it's almost like I'm breaking the fourth wall, right? It's like, us dealing with racism, parasitism. That's just us playing the game. That's the movie that we showed up in. That we all came here to experience some of this stuff. But the truth is, I mean, when you step off screen and you take a look at the script, or this particular scene ends in about 5 minutes. Right? This particular scene ends in about 5 minutes. They put that into some real perspective. These parasitic entities, the oligarchs, whoever, they know that we know that they know they got about a good they got about 100 years max, probably not even that long, probably nowhere near that long, maybe 50.
That's too much
Maybe.
time.
Yes.
Too much time.
Yeah. But I'm saying this, but even if they were to last another 100 years, the waning is going to be a sharp decline, a very sharp decline, right? Until they just completely eradicate it, until they just can't. In other words, everyone will be vibrating so high that they can't even tap into that frequency. Right. In other words, we'll almost be, it's like we'll be vibrating on a level to where we're almost invisible to them. They can't even get into the room with us. They can't even get into the realm, the dimension with us. See what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's all good in general, but, coming back into the scene, where we at with it right now. I'm just going to stand down again on what I was saying. What's necessary right now is that the melanated people is our responsibility right now to coagulate so that we can begin to expedite the amplification of the frequencies. Because again, as so long as we are spread out, divided, unorganized, then our energy is sparse and diluted. But if we have concentrated pockets of us, in other words, again, jurisdiction, institution, and infrastructures, that's concentrated melanated people of the higher vibrations coming together and really amping up the vibration. And that's just beneficial for everybody.
Yes.
And again, we don't have to worry whoever you are. If you hear me saying this and then you feel like, well, I wonder if I'm invited to it. You're invited to it just so long as you got good intentions and goodwill. We don't care what your religious background is. Oh, y'all believing in something. I get it. I don't care about that. But can you stand together with a group of people with a truly righteous heart, right? With a truly righteous heart. And come to a common ground on the love frequency for one another. That's where it's going.
Simple process.
Very simple.
Wait a minute, Junior. So you just said you got about 15 conscious women like that young sister. And I'm saying with 15 young conscious women like that, working with you, working with the organization, building self-sustainable communities, taking us out of this wicked matrix that has they've demonstrated what they're capable of. Look at what they're doing in Gaza. They're starving babies, murdering babies because for a damn real estate deal. So they demonstrate what they got planned for you in plain sight. So you're saying, Junior, with 15 women like that, we can end the war immediately? So if that's the case, here's the problem. Those young women are newly vested in the system. They don't have retirement funds. They hadn't been able to build a whole lot of generational wealth. Chairman, it's our generation. We need to step up to the plate. Now, I don't want to sound like a Baptist preacher, but We want to bring some funds in here to hire those young sisters so they can get on the job. There, we need to set up our whole administrative staff because every time we make contact, I'm just keeping it real. These parasitic demons, they try to do their best to punk them out and get them distracted. So, but if we can put them on the payroll, they can get on their job of building these communities so your great grandchildren, your grandchildren, and your children can get out of your pocket. Now, you don't go to church for 40, 50, 60 years donating to a lost cause. Yeah, I said it, a lost cause. And you say, well, I put it in the Lord's hand. I ain't give it to the preacher. No, the preacher getting the money. But what we're going to do is take those funds and invest it in hiring these young sisters because we need them first. They are the infrastructure. They're the ones that give life. They're the ones with all their chromosomes. They got a lot of emotions, but they got all their they got the common sense. So on this September the 2nd, my son has promised me that on our website, uaaronation.org, our merchant account will be ready. Go to our page, make a donation, then put your name, sign up and said, I made a donation and I want to be considered to get my great grandchildren, my grandchildren, and my children out of my pocket. So when you get some housing developed, please take my children in consideration.
Oh yeah,
First come, first serve. That's just the law of nature.
uh,
Yeah. So on September the 2nd, this coming Tuesday, go to our website. That is a Tuesday, right? Go to our website and make a donation. We're not buying no jets. Later on, if we get a jet, everybody in our community be flying that jet. We're not going out buying no Rolls Royces, no money. We want to put our children to work for this transition, for this paradigm shift. That's where we are. So you people in my generation with your retirement fund, you sit back every week, you go get them preachers $100, $50, and go in there dressed up with your nice hats on and say, I gave this and that. That ain't getting you in heaven. But to get your children out of this hell, make a donation. You have no excuses at this point.
hey,
We are sincere. We've been demonstrating it, and I put my life on the line every day for this because I love my son. I don't want to have to leave here and see him after to deal with these crackers. I mean, I'm sorry, these demons.
I can
Because they ignorant.
not to cut you off, but just going back real quick. I can tell you where the fund's gonna go to confidently. I've got a group of 5 to 10 Black men, and every Wednesday we meet as a development team with the purpose of building exactly what I was saying earlier: housing, infrastructure, jurisdiction, and institutions for your children. If you donate any funds, it's more than likely to go to pre-development. I go to pre-development. It'll go to us paying the type of people, paying the architects, paying the engineers, paying the experts to help develop that self-sustainable microcosm concept that your children are going to need. That's where it's going to go. That's where it'll go. I'll land it right there. That's it.
Okay, so that's where we are, people. The time for sitting back, wondering if this is the real deal. If you don't believe it, look to see what Agent Orange is doing in the White House right now. First of all them legal fees was spent protecting CYA. Y'all old school know what that means, covering your own ass. He's got to pay all those back. So every system that he can scam off of, he's gonna do it. It's a parasitic nature. He's got to get all his legal fees back. We have instruments that are tax deductible by the IRS or this nation, whatever the case might be, whatever and also we're transparent. So if you have accounting skills or you a CPA and you see this train work right down the track, you see where this is going. Get involved. We welcome you in because we are transparent. This is a trend. This is not an ego trip. This is not an ego trip. This is save our children trip, very clearly. So don't forget, September the 2nd, my son we just got it approved. So you can go to our website and make a donation and sign your name up so that as the housing are developed, we're going to be picking different people, to come into these communities to start learning how to improve themselves spiritually, how to learn true trades and skills that's in balance with this planet. And that was one of the other things we write at that 1 hour time period. We wanted to talk about the life on our tribal land, but it's going to be a beautiful situation. It's not set up to work people like Hebrew slaves. Minimum hours you should be putting towards maintaining your own community is 20 hours a week. The rest of it is cultural, spiritual development, and learning a trade that you're happy doing. So that's what we are. We need people. We need people to join up and indicate that you're interested in a membership and becoming a citizen of our organization. Also, this is a very critical piece. People from my generation, born in the 40s to 50s, in the 60s, we need a land recovery committee. Here's the purpose for the land recovery committee. We're going to empower you with the knowledge that we didn't all come over here on boats from Africa. We was already here, and we were part of the people that we were cannibalized by by this culture. And so they lied and covered up our true history. So we're recovering our land for our children. It's simple. You ain't got to put your life on the line. The numbers, if you say, I want to be part of the recovery committee, and you have some land that grandma, grandpa had, and all of a sudden, through different municipal powers, they took your land, we want to know about it. We want to investigate it, and we want to bring it to light. There's an old saying, in the absence of darkness, light. In the absence of light, darkness prevail. I had to get it right. So these are the things that we're working on. It's just straightforward. We have a metaphysical consciousness. What that young lady was saying in that video, we are the second coming. We are the saviors of our children. It's in us, and the burden is on us to demonstrate, not sitting back saying, I got mine, they need to get theirs. I promise you, you got it in Lucifer's system, and there's no dividends in it. You can't take it with you. And if you got it because you were selfish, there are no dividends in the next life for you. So hey, Chairman, we at that final hour. You got some closing statements?
Uh, I'd like to say with the church, they have the resources. I was a giver when I was going to church. If all the black churches in the United States donate 1 week of their tithes, game over. Game over. No excuses.
Yeah.
There is a solution.
Yeah. Hey, that's well said, Chairman. Hey, Junior. So we just about covered everything. We wanted to talk about. I got about 4 more minutes. How much I got? 4 more minutes before I run out of time. I'm in South Florida. I'm in a controlled environment, and we wanted to talk about life on the land. I think we need to bring that on next week because we covered a lot here, but we need to talk specifically of how our organizational chart is going to be set up when people are going to go through transitional housing. That's why I'm down here in Florida, South Florida right now. I'm sitting next to a former councilwoman, and she's not ready to go on record yet. I give you a peek of it. But she's opening up She's investigating programs to get our people out of this matrix, to put them in housing, and get you out of this hamster wheel because they're gonna keep turning the amps up on it and keep you to the point. I seen it in some grandchildren of my people, and they getting bald and getting gray hair, and they can't survive. And it wasn't designed for them to survive. It was designed for them to soften them up and be cannibalized, just like Sister Bella was talking about what happened down in IT, Haiti. So that's where we are. So next week we will talk. We will expand on life, the tribal life, how beautiful it can be as a collective, and old folks. Just because you sitting in that house and you paying them electric bills and all of that, there's room for you because we need your advice, your counsel. So you will also be allowed to come on this tribal land and give your experience to teach the children. And stop sitting around saying, I got mine. You ain't got nothing. You got everything you got is through Lucifer's system. It has no dividends. Hey, Julian, you the closeout man. You want to go ahead and take it in?
Yeah, 6 minutes past the hour. I think it was a good show, and like you say, we'll really elaborate on life on indigenous owned land next week. But it has been the Straight Talk Network show. As always, we love y'all. Peace out. We'll see you next week.
Peace
Grace
out.
and peace, y'all.